What up, everybody? This is Carlos at Texas Squeegee with Texas Tint Masters, and we're back. All right, so this is a Hyundai Genesis that we're tinting right now. Alfredo, one of our techs, is already on that side. He already got that door down. This right here, so this is the tint. It's already been pre-cut. It's been cut by our computer cut system over here. And right now you see, like, this is the back window and the 2 quarter windows in the back. It's currently sitting on here, so we still need to take it to a peel board and we're gonna prep it. But if you see right here, see how hazy this is? So that's nothing but a bunch of nasty glue. And the reason why that's on there is because they had tint on there, super cheap tint that had on there before when the customer brought it over to us, because we're fixing a cheap tint job again. Now the tint right here, this is the tint that it had on there before. See that bronze color? That's not the original color of the tint. That's what it faded to. But luckily now this tint is where it belongs, in the trash, because we're gonna come back and put a carbon tint on there, carbon being a color stable. So over time it doesn't turn purple, it doesn't fade. So it's carbon equals deep dyed. Whatever, those two are the exact same thing. Most people don't know. But if you're getting tint done on your car, make sure that it's either a carbon or a deep dye film, and that's gonna prevent that from happening again and having to replace it in the future by somebody else and making that extra expense. Alright, so what I'm doing right here, I'm using this red spray, and what this does is basically, it's like a super strong degreaser, and that's used to take the glue off of it. So you guys saw how it was before. If you look at it now, all I gotta do is just come back with this scrub right here, and I'm not even putting a whole bunch of pressure behind it. I'm really not putting much. I'm just lightly scrubbing it, but check this out. Look, when I squeegee it, see how clean that's coming out now? And that's all because this red spray works really, really good. It's actually a really good cleaner for a lot of things, really, but the main reason we use it here is to clean up the glue once we took the tint off. So I didn't do much of this one, and I already cleaned it up really well.
All right, so I've already got the glue weakener sprayed on the glass, and I'm gonna start cleaning the back glass, but I'm not gonna use a blade, because if you use a blade, it scrapes off these lines and then your defroster's don't work. So I'm gonna use a scrub. And this basically does the same thing as a blade, because the scrub is pretty good, but it's not gonna take off the lines or scratch the glass or anything.
All right, so what I'm gonna do right here is I'm putting in what's called a legal sticker. So in Texas, tint shops are required to put these little labels on the front driver window that basically lets inspection and law enforcement know that the tint is within the legal limits of what the Texas state law requires. So that's what I'm putting on this one. That's gonna prevent this customer from getting into trouble or in inspections from them failing it. Even then they could still check it and it's still gonna have the right VLT, visible light transmitted, which is above 25%. This tint right here it comes in 35, the darkest you can have it legally. And this type of tint is a 35%, so that's what we're putting on there. I get the question a lot. Many people want to get like a 25% tint on your glass. Here's what you don't know. If you were to have a 25% tint and if you were to put it on your front glass, it's still not going to pass inspection. Why? Because the glass has a natural shade to it that when you, even if the film reads 25, once you put it with the glass, the combined reading is going to be a little lower than that, which exceeds the amount that you can go. So you always want to be a little bit above. Like one of our more common installs is like ceramic tint, and on ceramic it comes in 30%. Now when you put it on the glass, it reads around 26, 27, which is hovering literally right above, but the tint is actually 30%. So you always got to keep in mind, even if you do have a 25% shaded tint, if you put that on your glass, it's not going to pass because the glass is going to bring that number down by maybe 2 points lower. That's the 35% carbon tint on the front driver's side. This tint's gonna last a super long time, but it looks a whole lot better than this thing right here. This was the tint that it had on there before. It's that nasty brown, bronze, faded tint. So these towels right here, this is one of the ways that we prep vehicles to do back windows because, like as I pointed out earlier, you see these scratches here. Now these weren't done by us, but the reason why we put these on here is because when you're working on the back window, there's a lot of reaching you have to do, whether it's the shrinking or laying the tint down. So like whatever is on here, you lean up against the car. So I mean, sometimes, like if you have this squeegee stick and now this part is metal, everybody has their own different bags. But let's say for some reason, I never do this, but just for hypothetical reasons, let's say it's here and I do this. It's right there's rubbing up against the car, and let's say I happen to turn and do this, well now we got a scratch on there. But with having these microfiber towels here, it's never been an issue. I mean, you can literally rub up against it with anything and it's not gonna do anything to the other side. And once we're done, and we hold them up with these rubber magnets, which are used a lot in vinyl wrap. So we just take it off and everything is perfectly fine. So we never like damage anything like that or scratch anything like that. So that's the best way to do it.
Shrink the tint is, see all these bubbles right here? If you try to install it like that, you're gonna crease it up so the heat shrinks the tint so that it molds to the glass. And then I'm actually gonna shrink it twice so that there's no chance of any bubbles coming out. You can see how the tint basically molds to the glass with the heat. See how the bubbles are starting to flatten out? And then you can go over it with a squeegee. So right now I'm going to shrink it twice so that the tint is like super shrunk and there's no chance of any bubbles coming out, like, you know, like 2 years from now or anything like that.
That's it for this one. So we're gonna take it outside to give it a final inspection before we deliver it back to the customer and see what it looks like out there. So let's go. All right, so this is done and inspected. Now this is a 35% Texas state legal for your front, so you can still see in, same as the inside. you could see out. So it's not a problem with these mirrors right here. You can still see out perfectly fine. This is not gonna get you in trouble with law enforcement or inspection. Moving on to the back, this is a 20%. This is like the middle shade in between the types of tint. So you can still see in a little bit, but it gives you more privacy. However, at night, the one question that we get a lot is, I don't want tint that's gonna block my visibility out at night. So this one is a really good choice. It's kind of in the middle from the light and the dark one. Just 20% carbon tint. Now this car, when it was brought over to us, had old tint on it that was on there before. The old tint was just super bubbly. It faded out to that nasty brown. It just did not look good overall. This is a nice looking car, but the tint just made it, just took away from that. So here we've replaced everything, computer cut everything, so there's no scratches or any, on the glass or any cut gaskets. And you see right there is everything is just laid out perfectly clean and nice. And so the same thing on this side is got on the other side over there. If you guys remember the towels that we put on here, you see like this is a part that we always rub in. You see there's no scratches here. Perfectly fine. All right, so if you want to get something like this done to your car, visit us at texastintmasters.com to keep watching more videos from the top tint channel on YouTube. Subscribe down below, hit the notifications button. And this is Carlos at Texas Squeegee signing off, and I'll see you on the next one.